Meet the Chambers family of Detroit. That's family member William Jackson. Detroit police say the Chambers gang ran a multi-million-dollar cocaine business. This homemade videotape was confiscated by police. It is testimony to the wealth and the arrogance of those who deal drugs.
Money, money, money! We rich, goddammit! 150,000 here. Ain't no telling how much up there. I'm gonna go buy me 3 cars tomorrow.
The police believe that the Chambers family made between $15 and $30 million dealing drugs. They believe the money paid for Larry Chambers' home.
This is the dining room. It's a 24-karat gold faucet.
And vacations on the family farm.
Today we had an accident. There was no one seriously hurt.
There is plenty of money to go around.
Should we throw these ones away, man, since we got $500,000?
Well, I'll tell you what we can do. We can give it to the poor.
That's exactly what I say, too. We'll just donate those to the poor. We still got about $1 million upstairs.
They call Los Angeles the gang capital. 70,000 members, 600 gangs. Just last weekend, the two most violent, the Crips and the Bloods, had another territorial dispute. 1 person died, 12 were wounded. It's what happens in the business of cocaine.
They sell the rock cocaine or crack on the streets or from heavily fortified rock houses, often employing 11 and 12-year-olds known as peewees. These apprentices are used as lookouts, sometimes even as salesmen. Young boys can make more than $400 a day selling drugs.
We have gangs that are taking out of the city of Los Angeles about $1 million a week.
The gangs have carved up parts of Los Angeles into exclusive sales territories, even using graffiti on walls to mark their domain and warn others to stay away. But like any successful businesses, they still compete for market share, often with violent consequences. Some 387 people died here in gang-related violence last year. This year, the death toll is running even higher.
It's getting worse. It's not getting better.
Police are trying to make it better with special sweeps arresting hundreds of suspected gang members. They've even rolled out an armored battering ram to attack fortified crack houses. But so far it hasn't worked. The gangs continue to saturate this city. So successful, they've taken their drug trade beyond the streets of Los Angeles.
The Crips and the Bloods have swarmed eastward, peddling their stock-in trade. They sell crack cocaine at $25 or $30 for every rock. The key to this growing criminal kingdom is high tech.
Suspect is a black male, early 20s.
Cellular car phones and beepers reach out and expand their drug network. They've pushed their drugs past the Rocky Mountains as far as New Jersey, tripling and quadrupling their profits.
Los Angeles is becoming the hose that is spraying the rest of the country with cocaine.
2,000 miles from Los Angeles, the Minneapolis police have identified the Crips and have stormed their fortified drug houses. In Kansas City, LA's Crips are competing with Jamaican gangs for drug dollars. They've both opened as many as 100 crack houses. And gangs from other cities are on the move, too. The Chicago gangs, the El Rukns and the Vice Lords and others. 13,000 members spread through the Midwest. They are in Minneapolis, too, and Milwaukee, and even smaller towns like Racine, Wisconsin. The Miami boys from Florida are moving their crack through the deep south and up the eastern seaboard. They have carved up Atlanta into 5 drug territories. Each can pull in as much as $300,000 a day. And the Jamaican gangs, the Rima and Riverton posses among them, which normally operate in New York and Florida, they seem to be everywhere. Sometimes they all seem to be everywhere.
He is 19 years old, from Los Angeles, and arrested in North Las Vegas for drug trafficking.
He's from Los Angeles. He's from Pomona. He's from Los Angeles.
Police in Portland, Oregon estimate as many as 500 Bloods and Crips have arrived, bringing with them fear and violence. There have been 275 gang-related incidents and 20 shootings over the past 8 months. Everyone here thought it was something that only happened in the big cities.
Portland is starting to look and feel like Los Angeles. The fear, people are afraid to leave their houses.
The Crips and the Bloods have left their marks in Charles and Esther Ford's Portland neighborhood. You can see the gang graffiti from their living room.
How angry are you? I'm scared to say it. I really am.
It's the same story everywhere. Consider historic Charlestown, West Virginia. George Washington's brother founded it in 1786. Population 3,000 with a police force of 8.
Charlestown's a very small, quiet town peopled by warm-hearted, gentle people, and we're actually being occupied by pushers and users and dope fiends.
At least 50 Jamaican gang members have invaded, fearlessly setting up an open-air drug market, offering their crack to anyone who has the cash.
They're not residents, but they own more of the town than we do.
Like so many other parts of the country, no one ever thought the gangs would come here.
How bad can the gang problem be? Probably not much worse than on this bus line in San Francisco. They call it the Savage Line. It snakes its way through the drug trafficking areas on the eastern side of the city. At night, they assign a police car to accompany the buses. It's the only way to keep order after countless criminal acts up and down the route. The buses have been stoned, the drivers attacked. The trouble is you can't put police cars everywhere. And if you could, very often the cops would be outgunned.
M16s. MAC-10 machine guns. Semi-automatic pistols. These are the weapons of choice among heavyweight drug traffickers. Federal authorities say these guns are being used by American drug dealers and by the foreign gangs, mostly illegal immigrants, who police categorize as incredibly brutal and who have come to this country to deal narcotics and death. Like the urban ghetto gangs, the foreign dealers also operate nationwide according to the Drug Enforcement Agency. Some examples. Just 10 days ago, hundreds of Sicilian gangsters were arrested for smuggling heroin into New York for nationwide distribution. Criminals from Thailand smuggle heroin into Kansas. Mexicans control the heroin trade in Oregon and Washington State. Colombians distribute cocaine in Texas and Florida. Jamaicans sell crack in 15 U.S. cities. In fact, those infamous Jamaican gangs are believed responsible for more than 800 homicides in the past 3 years.
Never in the 20 years I've been in this area have we had a major crossfire problem in urban areas. And now increasingly, we have the problem of innocent citizens getting caught in the crossfire between warring criminal gangs.
5-year-old Tawala Shaw was killed by Jamaican drug dealers in front of his suburban home. His mother describes her little boy's last words.
And he said to him, "Daddy, I got shot. Tell Mommy I got shot." And then he crawled on his belly and went back, but they were still firing.
In Colorado Springs, 4-year-old Eddie Sanchez was killed by a crack dealer. In affluent Westwood, California, a drug shootout resulted in the death of 27-year-old Karen Toshima, who was hit by a stray bullet while walking down the street.
Because the drug gangs use heavy firepower, they simply outgun police. But that may change. The DEA will soon become the first U.S. police agency in history to issue machine guns to all its agents.
More sophisticated arms, more firepower. I think any of those actions are justified given the situation.
And so, the emergence of drug gangs has led to a change in criminal behavior on the streets of America. A lethal change.
It's amazing how drugs have brought so many more of us in touch with violence. More of our streets and more of our neighborhoods are being turned into battlegrounds because of illegal drugs.
Drugs, A Plague Upon the Land, with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by AT&T. In long-distance services, information and network systems, telephones and computers, AT&T is the right choice.
This is as close to peacetime war as you're going to get.